And I would be remiss if I didn't say hi to my wife, Melissa Townsend, who's watching. She just sent me a text. So hi, baby. I thank you for saying I look great. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I'm extremely different than the rest of the other presenters today. I don't know if you notice. One, I have on a suit, which makes me kind of feel weird. And the other one, I'm bald. So I appreciate John having the foresight and diversity in choosing a diverse panel to discuss things with you today. So quick hit, there's 2 introductory slides because unlike a lot of our presenters today, I do need introductory. I'm Keith Townsend. You can find me on the Twitters at CTO Advisor, and the blog is thectoadvisor.com. Some of you guys might have known me in my previous life as Virtualized Geek, but let's talk a little bit about my background. Currently, I'm the Senior Infrastructure Architect for SAP at a biopharmaceutical in the far north of Chicago called AbbVie. I like to call the role more of a VP whisperer, meaning that my SAP skills are not that great. If you needed to build SAP infrastructure and you needed somebody who could tell you where the transaction log files should go, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, I'm not that guy. I spent 2 years at PwC, which meant that I became very proficient at creating pivot tables, PowerPoint slides, and communicating to executives as a byproduct, and this is why we're talking today. So if you need a VMware vSphere cluster built, I'm not your guy, but if you need to communicate to an executive of why you need to invest in vSphere 6.0 Update 1, I can help make that conversation with you. From an educational perspective, I have a master's in IT project management from DePaul. I chose IT project management because it would expose me to the business side of technology. I have no desire to manage projects at all. God bless the project managers out in the audience. So with all that background, there's a reason why I took this career path that I went on. I had, early in my career, which is a cute picture, God bless her, she has a beautiful head of hair, which Anyway, I digress. Early in my career, I had a CIO at the Tribune company where I cut my enterprise IT experience at the Chicago Tribune. We had a horrible, horrible set of events with Novell 5.0 server. Yeah, I go back that far. You know, we had survived Y2K. We came out looking very good, and now we're positioning to kind of steady state operations post Y2K, looking at some of the initiatives. One of them was to migrate from our Network 4.1 environment to a Network 5.0 environment. The engineer before me performed the activity. I inherited the environment from an operations perspective, and we supported one of the most mission critical parts of the business, the finance group. So this is a recurring theme throughout my career, supporting mission critical finance. And the server kept going down. It blue screen. It got to the point where we contacted the premier Novell partner in the area, literally paid a consultant, and since I'm a former consultant, I can talk about other consultants. We paid a consultant about $150 an hour, literally to stand in front of the server, just in case it blue screened. That was their job, 24 hours a day. For like a month, they got a sweet billing rate to do this. And I had the CIO at the time tell me, she said, Keith, don't make any changes and fix the server. I had this look on my face. Without the hair, I had this look on my face. I'm like, how am I going to fix the server without making any changes to the server? That started my journey on understanding executives. So the rest of the talk, let's spend some time looking at the picture of the executives. So we had to put animals in our presentation, and one of the first things that I come when I think about executives is that they're extremely bright. You don't get to the level of being a CEO, CIO, CTO of a Fortune 500, Fortune 50 company without being extremely, extremely smart. We can underestimate these creatures that we call executives. But I'm telling you not to underestimate them. They may not understand technology, but sometimes we don't understand their worldview of things. We look at things from a different worldview. So we're going to talk about these three different areas, considering their worldview, executives are smart, and how to pitch your ideas and get them passed or get them approved to an executives. So again, executives are smart. They can stop you. They are powerful, powerful pieces of the puzzle in the enterprise. If you have an idea and you want to get it past the executive, you can't BS them. They can sniff it out and they will stop you. So one of the kind of high-level things that I've learned throughout my career is don't plan to go deep with executives, but be prepared to go deep. Just some practicals. You know, if you're presenting a technology project and there's a finance cost to it, don't put the finance slides in the front of the presentations. You'll stop there. You'll spend about 15 minutes of your 20 minutes that you got with the executive going over the cost. Hide that in the back, but be prepared to go deep into the explanations of the how and the why of the technologies. Stay high level. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on these first two topics because I want to give a really, hopefully helpful practical. And it leads to kind of, you have to understand the worldview of the executives. Two powerful executives. One is on the right of me, Emmanuel Rahm, which I'm not a huge fan. I'm from Chicago. He's the current chief executive, the mayor of Chicago. He has a seriously important job. He has to make me happy, and he's not doing a great job of doing that. The guy on the left also has to make me happy, and I'm not too sure if he's doing a great job of doing that. But they have they need to please me, but they have two completely different worldviews. Rahm Emanuel has the micro job of managing a huge American city. Barack Obama has the job of managing several huge American cities, including rural America, et cetera, et cetera. So the problems that Rahm Emanuel face, which I'm kind of equating ourselves to, are much different than the problems that the President of the United States has to face. You have to go to them. When Rahm Emanuel gets a meeting with Barack Obama, he has to be succinct and very descriptive in the problems that he's trying to address and how they relate to his worldview. And we're going to walk through a practical of that in my career. So let's talk about the meat of it, which is, I think, the value of my talk is, how do you pitch an idea to an executive? One, executives are smart. We don't underestimate their ability to take in incredible amounts of information, dissect that information, and make discernible and important decisions for them. They are extremely capable of that. So you don't have to dumb down a message, but you do have to make the message relevant. So, an example, you have some old switches in your data center core is old, and you need to upgrade it. That is a legit technical problem. However, if you go into an executive's office and say that I need to upgrade the switches, and they say, why? And you say because they're old, that's not a valid reason. Are they still under the support? Yes. Are they still passing packets? Are packets getting dropped? No. So what exactly is the business value of upgrading the switches? Or the example that I'm going to talk about, God forbid, you're still on the frame relay network and you want to move to MPLS. How do you explain the business value of MPLS to a CEO? I was faced with that challenge before I got the master's in IT project management and before I spent the 2 years at PwC. We do this by considering their worldview and aligning our objectives to their goals. So back in 2005, 2006, I took on a role as a manager of network operations for a publicly traded medium-sized business. Had revenues of about $100 million. Had a disparate IT organization. We owned about 9 companies. Each company had their own IT staff, their own network, their own email servers, et cetera, et cetera. From my perspective, it was a nightmare. How am I going to get security under control? How am I going to enable the business? How am I going to manage all of this separate IT business? Met with my vendors, came up with a design. In the end, we're going to spend about $1.5–2 million to fix this mess. A $2 million investment to a $100 million company is a fairly sizable investment. So that's going to go up to the C-level. The CFO, the CEO will have to sign off on this investment. So I had to present to them why I'm going to take $2 million and compete against other projects. We're a manufacturing company, so there's people asking for new forklifts, there are people asking for air conditioning in factories. There's legitimate projects that align to the business that directly, that they can look at the problem and say, you know what, these forklifts are breaking down, or we're not able to move equipment as efficiently with the equipment that we have. I have workers in warehouse conditions suffering, so I can relate to those things. And you're coming to me and saying that you want to make my email better? How does that help the business? So I had to come with a different pitch other than, you know what, Frame Relay is old, Frame Relay is broke, we need to fix Frame Relay. So I spent some time researching the business. What was the business? The business was a combination of manufacturing and engineering. One of our value propositions throughout that we were proud of in the market was our ability to research and design our solution. We did crash cushions. If you looked at on the expressway, those yellow barrels with the sand filling in it, that was some of our intellectual property. The guardrails, sometimes you'll see trucks with a yellow crash device behind it. Those are things that the company that I worked for designed. Typically, how design and implementation worked in this industry is that companies would fund research at the university level, and they would take that research and then implement the technologies coming out of that. We didn't. We had engineers on staff, a team of about 20, that performed this engineering. We manufactured the equipment. We tested it. We had a test facility over in Rockland, California, where the guys over at, I forget the science show that they test stuff, but they came and they actually ran a test truck and slammed it into our equipment. We spent a lot of R&D money making sure that our solutions worked. Our team was distributed. We had a team that did crash cushions here in California, a team in St. Louis that did the little strips that run across the expressway to count how many cars passed by. We had a team down in Florida that did red light cameras, unfortunately. I'm sorry, but someone has to make money off of that. So a distributed engineering team. Sharing files were a pain. Sharing data was a pain. The idea of the collaboration between all of the different companies was the ability to share IP across a wide area network, across companies. We simply could not do that in our distributed IT model. Some people used Exchange. Some people had freeware or open source mail servers. We didn't have centralized communications. Communicating was a problem. And that's ultimately what I came to the executive team. So I had to present to the CEO, the CFO, and the presidents of each business line. I didn't lead off with, hey, here's the picture that we have horrible frame relay. I did have that as a backup slide because one of the more engineer-centric presidents did ask for that data. I talked through the challenges that we faced. I hit the pain points. I said, you know what? This product, we want to leverage, we want to promote this product throughout the entire industry, throughout our entire portfolio, but we can't leverage the product because the engineers can't collaborate on the CAD files because our network is too inefficient to share that stuff in real time, so the engineers don't. You know, we went through, Mario did a great job of talking about the toothbrush scenario or the woman with multiple phones. These things work when they're not, when they're small issues or small challenges, but when you try to scale them out, we've experienced that. When we do something on our laptop, it works fine. When we deploy it out into scale, it breaks. This is what we were experiencing within our organization. When we did collaboration on small scale, it works. But when you're talking about an initiative that crosses business lines and crosses several different engineers with different workflows, it breaks. So working with the engineering team and my IT team, we came out with a plan of how we're going to fix that problem. So the problem was no longer that frame relay couldn't meet the business needs. The problem was that we were inefficient in engineering and we needed an engineering solution. The bread and butter of our business, the value proposition of our business over our competitors was that we had end-to-end engineering. Our CEO, our presidents, our CFO understood that business value. So when I came to that meeting, I wasn't alone. I partnered with my team, the engineering team, and I'm talking about traditional engineering, so mechanical engineers who came in and they talked about their pain points. And they talked about how their organization, how the engineering organization was going to change. And as their partner in IT, I just needed a little bit of overhead to help make that happen. So the conversation moved from, okay, we're going to spend $2 million to fix our frame relay and this separate IT problem to saying we're going to spend $10 million to fix our engineering problem, and a subset of that is the $2 million budget that we need to fix IT in the process. So when we're talking about understanding executives, we have to understand their worldview. Their worldview isn't our view. We understand that if we don't upgrade the network core, we're going to run into performance issues. We're going to run into reliability issues. We're going to run into things that make our job harder. I'm here to tell you, executives don't care if our job is harder or not. They really don't. It's sad but true. They care about how do they move their business forward, how do they make investments that's going to really impact and change their markets. If you're asking for $2 million, how does that $2 million investment that you're asking for compare to the $2 million investment that the line of business is asking for? And we have to be able to justify that and stand on it. There's a thing in my career that I like to say, whenever I interview for a new position, whenever I go to a new company, I ask the question, how does my job impact the end customer? If we sell at AbbVie, if we sell Humira, how does me being a SAP infrastructure architect benefit the patient at the end of the day? When we're able to make that connection, we're better able to communicate with executives because we can naturally align with their needs and desires. That's all I had. Thank you. Appreciate it.